Cinema 5D stage at Photo and Adventure.
Hello, I'm very happy to welcome everybody at Photo and Adventure 2019 at the Cinema 5D film and video stage. It's my great pleasure to welcome my dear friend Philip Bloom. Hello. I think this works.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, very happy you're about to talk about medium format filming with the FUJIFILM GFX100.
Yes, I am here to talk about medium format filming with the FUJIFILM GFX100, Philip Bloom.
Okay, then I'll leave you to it and good luck.
Thank you. I hope you're going to sit down and watch. If you leave, he's left. Hi. Okay, so I am talking. Yeah, we already know what I'm here for. So this is question: is size important, Nino? You see, your mic's off. It depends. See, I've always been told it isn't, but it is. So the Canon 5D Mark II, that full-frame sensor, was magical because I'd come from a world of tiny little sensors, of 2/3-inch sensors, my broadcast cameras, to then go, well, just before that I was messing around with something called a 35mm adapter, but we'll not talk about that. But to go from that to suddenly a full-frame sensor was it was magic when that happened. And that was 10 and a half, that was, what year are we now? 11 years ago. So it's 11 years ago now. So it's, which is crazy. And I've loved that. And then we talked about full-frame video cameras this morning and how amazing that is. But you know what? That's old news. Full-frame is like tiny. I always wanted something bigger. Because that's the thing, is like, okay, what do you do once you've had full-frame? Where do you go to next? Medium format, of course. So I've shot medium format film for years. But for video, when it comes to digital stills, I got my first digital stills medium format camera 5 years ago, which was the Pentax 645Z. It shot video really badly, like really badly. The rolling shutter was terrible. The image artifacts were terrible. I mean, it was unusable. And then I got the GFX 50S a year and a half ago from Fuji, and it used the full sensor, didn't have many image artifacts, but the rolling shutter again was just unusable. So I've been desperate to try medium format video, just because it's something different than what I'm used to. I'm always looking for something different. And but there has been some, like Hasselblad I can't remember what the model is, but it was 25,000, so I wasn't going to get that. So GFX100, I'm going to talk about a particular film that I made and why I use this camera and what I loved about using this camera. And it's this camera here. How many people have got one of these? Really? Oh, well, I'm hoping I'm going to convince every single one of you to buy one. And if you use this code, no, I haven't got one. Wouldn't that be cool? I can give you 50% off. Not really. Okay, so this is me, 17 years with these big cameras there, talking about that, the Sky News. And then since that, I've been freelance using everything, every single type of camera out there, digital, not film. And, I love small cameras because they are small. That's why I love shooting on like like Sony mirrorless cameras, because I find, you can move quickly, especially for documentaries, you can really be quick. But, there is a cost in certain way of shooting, especially when it comes to audio. But I do still shoot with big cameras as well, for bigger productions. So it just depends. I just like shooting with them all, and often I combine them both. So a little bit about the backstory of this film and how it came about, which will lead us naturally into some technical stuff about the camera and why it's so good at shooting video. It really shouldn't be. It shouldn't be good at shooting video, but it is. So, anybody been to the island of Skiathos in Greece? Anybody? No? You have? Yay! Have you brought a cat back? Well, there you go. You haven't done it right. So this is me. This is called Billy No Mates. You know what Germans are like, right? You guys are Austrians. You know what Germans are like? They go to the pool, they put their towels down really early. And it's the same with the sunbeds. So I just go at like 2 in the morning to grab a sun lounger to make sure I get a good one. It's not strictly true. It's just me doing a a selfie, long exposure with the Pentax 645Z. So I was invited to go on holiday with some friends in 2015 to this island, and never been before, and I fell in love with it. Something's unique and special about this island. It's so small, it's 12 kilometers across. And I just found it an amazing place. It was beautiful, and it wasn't English, which is always a problem with a lot of Greek tourist places. It's just like Sky Sports signs and full English breakfast. I wanted it to be still Greek. So I just fell in love with it, and I went every year since that first time. And then the cats came into it. So who has a cat here? Anybody got a cat here? Yay! Everybody who, if you don't like cats, you're not going to like this talk. There's a fair few cats in it. So this is actually Ginger Nuts, he was the first stray cat I fell in love with over in Skiathos. And Greece has a huge problem with stray cats, like a lot of Mediterranean countries. And it was from that I sort of found out there's a charity there and I was amazed at how healthy this cat was. Like, I've been to other Greek islands and they are in a really bad state, and most of the strays on this island are really looked after. And I found out about this charity, and it went from there, really. I made a documentary in January last year about what they do. Also because they're having huge financial problems to try and get to raise the money to keep them going. And so I made one documentary in January last year, and then I went back and did 3 more in a few months later. So I've got a huge connection now with the island and the people and the cats. And I've actually adopted, after filming these 3 documentaries in July, I fell in love with two of the strays and adopted them. So, which is why I now have 5 cats. So, which is quite a lot, but there you go. Anyway, so this is how this came about. Now, the problem is, when I first went to Skiathos, it was a fun holiday destination for me. It was about the beach and going out and getting drunk and having fun and everything. The problem is, once I'd started doing this and seeing the hardship and the hard work that goes into it, I couldn't just relax anymore, which is a bit of a problem. So I've been editing this project now for 6 months. I've been doing not this, but something else, and I needed to get it out of my edit suite. So I was getting to the point where I wasn't leaving the house for like a week, not stepping out of the house, just being in the house. It was awful. When you realize you've not worn anything but pajamas for a week, you know you need to do something about it. So I decided to go on a holiday to Skiathos, because I hadn't been this year. No, I had been this year. I filmed one in April, I'm lying. But I hadn't had a holiday this year, so I decided to go. And the problem, of course, is I get sucked into it every time I go there. But I decided to shoot. For me, a holiday, I know some people who shoot, who don't take cameras on holiday because they want a break from it. That's not me. I love filming. The fact that I get paid to film is amazing. I can't believe I'm doing a job that is actually what I love to do in my free time. So I'm always taking photos or filming. And I just thought, I wanted to make something different when I went to Skiathos that didn't take up too much time. Because I was going for 10 days. I didn't want to spend the whole time filming, maybe a couple of days filming, maximum. And my idea was to simply just show 2 perspectives of the island, my holiday versus what a holiday used to be. It was a very simple piece. That was my original concept. It did change, though, because I got sucked in, and it became something much more, and it became much longer, and it took up every day. So that's the holiday gone. And I literally was filming every day, and I extended the trip to 2 weeks because of what was going on, and it became a very, very different thing. And I ended up making a 30-minute film. And it's a very different sort of documentary to anything I've done before. Most documentaries, all my documentaries prior to this, are either narration or led by interviews. There's no narration. There's no interviews. There's very little dialogue at all. There's like I think I worked it out as maybe 40 words in the entire thing are spoken. There are captions and stuff, but it's mostly visuals and music. And it's a story about the life of strays and animal abuse. But it's about animal abuse, and it's about the difficulty of animals in these places, told via two cats. Because when you're telling a big story, you tell it via something that people can connect to. You can't do you can do a big thing, but it's not as interesting. It won't connect on an emotional level. So this is the film. It's called Shamalipi, and which is a Greek word. I was struggling to think of a title for it. Titles are really important, and it means a feeling of joy with sadness. So it's at the same time. It's not like bipolar. It's not like where you're feeling happy and then you're suddenly sad. It's literally, I'm so happy to be here, but I'm also incredibly sad at the same time. That's what it is. It's this, and you can get this, in many places. And this is what this island is to me. It's a feeling of, I'm so happy to be here, but at the same time, I feel pain. This is just the opening of it here. Hello, hello. I might want to speak over the clips, so if we can keep my mic open. Just to let you know, that TV is definitely too contrasty. So I don't know I think the TVs there are better looking. So just, yeah, as big a screen as that is, it's definitely too crushed blacks. Okay, so why did I choose a GFX100? We talked about this whole thing about medium format and something. I wanted to try it. I didn't have one at the time, and I contacted Fuji and said, is there any chance I could borrow one for 2 weeks? And they went, sure. So that's why I shot this on the GFX100. Simple reason as that. I didn't want it to be good because I didn't want to buy one. I wanted it to be okay. I didn't want it to be too special. I got enough cameras already. So that's why I chose it. But there's key things about it which I already knew spec-wise, which meant I felt comfortable enough it wouldn't be like the wrong camera completely. Whilst it is a big camera when it comes to stills, when it comes to video, it's not. It's not a big camera, really. So let me go through some technical stuff. Main video features. It is a stills camera, obviously. It's 100 megapixels, which is, we'll talk about stills in a bit. How many megapixels do we need for 4K? Does anybody know? How many? Do we need 100? No, we need 8, just over 8. 8. So 100 is a little bit too much, but it equates to, if we took 100 megapixels and turned it into video, it would be about 12K. That's roughly what it's worked out, because I have shot time-lapse. I created time lapses from the stills, and it's about 12K resolution, which of course my computer cannot play at all, but it can do it. There you go. So here we go. It's medium format, so it's a 1.7 times more surface area than full frame. It shoots 4K up to 30p without cropping the sensor. So it's the 16:9 of the sensor. The key thing here, it records 10-bit internally. We'll talk about that in a second. In 420, H.265, HVC, internally. Because, whilst external recorders are cool, I'm much more mobile if I'm like this, rather than having something attached to it, and I want to use the viewfinder. So the fact it had a good codec, a 400 megabits a second internally, was important. So in-body image stabilization, which is important for handheld filming, because it takes, especially with the rolling shutter and everything, I was concerned. But with IBIS, I was like, oh, this could be good. Autofocus, I talked about that this morning as well. Definitely for filming certain things and myself, because I was going to be in it. I wanted autofocus and low light, because I want to work in all lights. So these are the key things for me. It was like, oh, it ticks all the boxes I want. One thing it doesn't do is slow motion. That's okay. It does 1080p slow motion, but it's not good. So it's okay. There's a couple of slow motion shots in it, but they're only done in post. So here's a difference in size and sensor. A7R3 next to the GFX100. And you can see it here. This is the full size of the sensor when it comes to, this isn't for video because it's the whole sensor for stills, but you can see the difference in the sizes here. So the yellow being closest to what we're traditionally used to in film making is in Super 35. It's a little bit higher, but you can see that it's a big difference. And what does a bigger sensor mean? It generally means you are capable of getting a different look. It's a shallower depth of field potentially. It's just a very different look and feel, and technically better in low light, but then when you start getting 100 megapixels, they sort of like cancel each other out. 10-bit. Okay. So this is the menu, select 10-bit. You can have, if you select 422, select it here, so it can output a higher quality, it can do better color space, 422, but you don't need it. I'm not green keying anything. So 420 is fine internally. And it can also do H.264, which is 8-bit. Don't do it. I'll show you why. So here's a comparison of two shots. So first one is shot in 8-bit. I did play that. I couldn't use a shot, and you'll see why. So it was underexposed by me accidentally, but I'd switched to 8-bit near the end of the trip because I had no plans to shoot something big, and I was running out of hard drive space. I brought 2 new 4 terabyte hard drives with me, so a copy of each. And I was getting to 3.5 terabytes, and I was still shooting. I was like, I can't carry on at 10-bit. I have to drop the quality. And it was a mistake, because the 8-bit, it really suffers. Oh, yeah, you can't even see it on that. OK, so I'm going to play this, and then we'll see. I think it's better. OK. This I'm going to do a crop in and you'll see banding. It has really nasty 8-bit banding. So yeah, I learned my mistake. And this is 10-bit. Although we can still see a bit on here because it's all been contrasted. It's a huge difference compared to what it was. We're still banding a little bit, but they were both heavily underexposed, and it shows you what it can do with. Now, picture profiles. It shoots really lovely. It's got lovely film stock emulation. Fuji make film, and their film stock emulation is amazing. Eterna is a beautiful profile, and I use it a lot. But it can also do log. If you shoot log, then you can turn it into Eterna in post. And log will have a better dynamic range. I did a bit of both as experimental. So this is the Eterna profile right now. Again, this is, don't look at that. Look at those. It's not that at all. And it's a lovely soft, but enough contrast and a nice saturation. And then the next shot is log, ungraded. And then you can download LUT from the Fuji website. You can download the Eterna LUT. And I simply applied it to this shot. So it looks the same. So it makes sense to shoot log, as long as you correctly expose. When you shoot log, you expose to the right. Otherwise, you end up with, it's got to be, overexposed. I shot with 2 lenses, the entire thing. The 110mm and the 45, equivalent of 85 and 35. I actually brought other lenses with me. I didn't use them. I just used 2 lenses, which kept it nice and simple for me. OK, autofocus versus manual focus. Don't want to get into this big thing about it, because I talked about it before. It's a big topic. I needed it for certain things. But manual focus is also something I needed for most of my other filming. The problem is with the Fuji lenses is that manual focus is a nightmare. It's if you have it as linear, which means it's the same speed all the way you turn it, you have to turn it so many times, like 4 rotations to go from one to the other. Oh, it's insane. It's great for fine focus. And then you have the alternative, which is focus by wire, which is depending on the speed you turn it, which is fine, but for getting there, but no good for actually doing a repeated move because it's a nightmare. So it's a bit of both. The autofocus isn't perfect, so sometimes it pulses, which isn't good. So, but it worked, I would say, 80% of the time. So look at this shot here, and watch the shape, watch the edges, and you'll see some pulsing. Okay, you see that? I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know why it's going in and out. It shouldn't have been doing that. But I stabilized it, and you wouldn't know. So you could, as long as it didn't actually go out of focus, it's fine. I could fix it in post. And so there you go. I mean, it's not ideal, but thankfully, because I really liked this shot, and I was like, oh no, it's pulsing. Right, I'll show you a clip. I have drones, I love drones, and my last films there, I had some great drone shots of my car driving along this landscape and stuff. I wanted it all to be with the Fuji. So I decided the shots for me to going from location to location would be in car shots, not with the GoPro, but with the GFX on a stills tripod, bungeed into the back of my Jeep, which should look terrible on a camera like this with the rolling shutter, especially on a long lens, but it looked great with the in-body image stabilization. So here's a sequence where you'll see some car shots. Don't look at that. It's on the 110. It shouldn't look as good as that, and it looks great. So I was very happy with the quality of these shots. So it helped a lot, and it helped for the style of shooting that I was doing. Because I shot in 2 very simple styles. No gimbals, nothing fancy. A stills tripod for locked off shots. No panning, no tilting, no movement. Why? Because I was filming myself. I've always found it really hard to film yourself and pan and tilt at the same time with a tripod, because I do not have any powers of the force to move it. It would be quite cool if you could, yeah, but you can't. And handheld. So anything that was me looking, was my point of view, was handheld. So there's 2 types of shots. My personal point of view and third person point of view, which is of me, okay? So that's basically, it was very simple, and it kept it really simple. So I'm going to play another section here. These are all the intro sections. The way the film plays, you think it's just like a holiday video to start with and just proceeding. It gradually builds to something much more when you watch it. Just if you do watch the film, just be prepared. It becomes quite hard to watch about halfway through. But I'm not showing that. So here's a nice section here, which is this actually was a tripod, it shouldn't have been, but everything else this is all handheld until you see me. Believe it or not. And yes, I am in the water with the GFX, just above the water's edge. I did have a bag. There's no waves. So onto tripod because I'm in it. And doing all of this sort of sequence filming takes ages if you're filming yourself, because you've got to check it, get the focus right, make sure it's all good. I just didn't want my voice like it is now to interrupt this. I wanted it to just play with music and the occasional captions and the images to tell it in a very visual and audible audio way. So point of view shots, me watching her, me going out into the water again to look at her. It was just really nice. And this is how I kind of started filming. It was just that things changed during the stuff here. I tried autofocus with these shots. With the light behind and stuff, it couldn't cope. I had to go with manual focus. It was never going to happen. And low light performance. So again, it's another section here, and you'll see some low light in a bit. Now, I was shocked that there was actually any good in low light because it's 100 megapixels, which is a huge amount. Even though the sensor's big, I just thought, nah, it's not going to be any good. And I was shooting quite frequently at 6400 ISO, and it was great, which it was more than enough I needed for shooting inside the town, which you'll get to in a second. Because don't forget, when you are shooting in low light at night time, you want it to look like night time. You don't want it to look like daytime, which I have done with the A7S. I wanted it to feel like it looked to the eyes. So the light drops, and it's just a beautiful image. You can download the ProRes version from my Vimeo page in 4K and just look at it properly, and it's like, that image is like moving stills. It's beautiful. So onto nighttime stuff. All about trying to, just maintain the ambiance of what it's actually like there. So this is my problem. I go out with friends and they go out carrying on drinking, and then I'm with them and then they turn around and I'm not there. He's feeding cats, isn't he? Yeah. I've seen a stray cat and I've stopped with I've got my Peak Design Messenger stuffed with Dreamies and I'm feeding them. And my friends, so they always, when we do go out, they try to walk behind me so they can see when they lose me. But this was pretty much me the entire time. Anyway. Right, I'm going to... so the story changed, a few days into the trip. Actually, it was more than that. It was about 8 or 9 days into the trip. And as I said, initially I was going to do 2 days filming, but I was enjoying it so much, I kept on filming, and was just enjoying it so much and taking stills and enjoying the camera, just capturing the best footage I've ever had of the island. And then I was in the ocean, and I got to my phone and saw there's like 8 missed calls, which is never a good sign. And it was basically some people, friends who knew where I was, said, "We need your help. There's a cat who's been run over. Please go and take it to the vet. Because nobody else will do it is there." So that's when the story changed. And I kind of... And it was at this point that I realized I had a story. Originally, I didn't have a story. It was just pretty images. And then suddenly a story came together with when his story started. And it became a documentary camera, which I never thought it would possibly be, which is something, even shooting on a prime lens is hard for documentaries, but I was shooting on a 45 and just moving with my body, zooming with my feet, and handheld, the Rode video mic on the camera. I got great stuff. I never thought it would be good enough for a documentary camera, and And it became that. I thought it would be fine for much more controlled shots, but it worked great for a documentary camera. So yeah, I don't want to show you any more of it because it's not the place for it. Any real issues with the camera itself? Not really. The autofocus thing was a bit of a pain at times. Occasionally I needed to monitor myself, and so I used the app. Downside to using the app is you lose control of focus. So that wasn't very good. So I needed to actually set focus and see where I was, and the quality wasn't great. So I ended up using this thing called an Ascroon Wi-Fi transmitter, and it's really good. It's ASCOON, and it sends over Wi-Fi to your iPhone or iPad a really high quality 1080p image. It doesn't trigger the camera, mind you, but at least you can see the image really clearly. Because otherwise I'd have had to have a monitor with a long cable or whatever. So there were times I really needed to see the frame when I was over in position. So that's kind of, I really wanted to have the ability to trigger it as well. So I ended up with just a bit too much footage, really. Now, the big question is, would it have been easier, or would it have made much difference with another camera? Would it have made much difference? Probably not. Not really. I could have shot it with the Sony A7 III and it probably would have looked lovely, to be honest with you. It just looked a bit different, really. So that's the thing is, cameras are important, but obviously it's what you're filming is the most important thing. And yeah, I could have shot it with an iPhone. It wouldn't have looked as good, but I could have done, because it is the content. It's part of what was special about this film is how beautiful it looks. And so that's very important to me. So it would have been easier in many ways because the autofocus is better and other stuff. But then it wouldn't have been as good in the car. It definitely would have been juddery. It wouldn't have been anywhere near as good. So I think it worked perfectly for this. And I don't think there was another camera that could have done it as well as this. And that image just, especially on that 110mm f2, is just beautiful. So here's one more clip for you. And then I can take some questions. It's a lot easier to get focus on infinity. There's quite a few of these shots where the focus is on the background and I'm in it. It's an aesthetic thing as well as a practical thing. It's much harder to get myself in focus. You can do it, but I actually did shots on autofocus where I am in focus on these. It didn't work. It wasn't about me, this shot. It was about what I was looking at. So what's interesting, when you watch the film, you only really see my face clearly, like in two sections. It's either the back of me, out of focus, which is very deliberate. It's not about me. It's about two cats. Because there's some truly awful stuff that happens to animals, really awful stuff. And for me, it was important to tell a story which, through what happens to two specific cats, could connect people and make them understand that their lives as well. They're not just, things to do, whatever. Anyway, so I do, if you can get a chance to watch it, do. I know you've seen it. And of course, I love taking photos. I take more photos than I shoot video, and I think 100 megapixels is amazing. Interestingly, I always used to joke it's perfect for Instagram. It's not anymore. I don't know what's happened, but now, for some reason, when you put in a high megapixel photo of JPEG into Instagram, it screws up. It goes all funny. So I now have to bloody resize it, which is ridiculous. I've created my 100 megapixel photos for Instagram. But I'll show you how cool they look. Okay, so this is the cat Kevin, who you see in the little photo, the thing. He's also at the end of the film. And there's me. Yay. Which is always cool. Here's me doing, this is the panorama in the water. It's not my camera. It was a loaner. So, no, I still would have done it. And I've done it with my Pentaxes. Go in there with a rain cover underneath it. But there's no waves. You just got to watch out for boats. If there's any boats, get out. And I wasn't far out. It looks like I'm far out, but I'm not because the beach curves round. So I'm going to crop in for you. That looks terrible. Yay. How cool is that? It's that, I can't do that in video. Doesn't matter because I get it in camera. But I just love that ability, even if there's sometimes you just want a crop to get a nice, you don't have the lens for it, for photos, but I just love that detail, even though you'll never see it. Most people never, and there's no benefit for it even if you're doing a big print. For what you can get out of this GFX, you could literally do the most enormous poster that would cover like the most enormous building. It's that much detail. And most people will see my photos on Instagram, which, it is what it is, isn't it? So, and they're pinching it to zoom in. Ooh, and they're saying, oh my God, the detail is amazing. I'm like, dude, go to Flickr. I've put a full resolution version on there for you. Have a look at it properly, because this photo is massive, the original native photo of this. I'll show you another photo, which from yesterday, it's Bonnie. So this is at 6400 ISO. It's a stills, which is great. And it's Bonnie. Oh, that's terrible. What's going on with that screen? Does that look better there? Yeah, okay. And it's amazing. It's not as good as the Sonys for taking photos of animals, because the Sonys do eye autofocus, and it locks onto their eyes, which is crazy. But it's still pretty good. And it's nice to have Nino and Anita's cat on the screen. There you go. There, Nino, look, Nino. Yeah, you've not been watching, have you? I knew it. I think I've probably got to get off. But if there's any quick questions, chuck them at me. How long have I got before you're going to kick me off? 5 minutes of questions. Any questions? Yes. They're good. They're good, yeah. So they're almost Sony level, which means when you're using which is a pain. Whoops, it's on a tripod. So the question is what the preamps like. How hot are they? So, for example, the levels I have for the internal mic are much higher than I need for this mic on here. So if I'm switching between, I've got to be really careful. Same with the Sonys. Sonys are very strong, the preamps, whereas the Canon preamps tend to work the other way around, so you need to boost it all the time. But they're good. But the audio, as I said, there's no dialogue. There's lots of natural sound, so it's lots of me with the camera recording just audio, close up to this. You can, if you're filming from a distance, you're not going to get great audio. And it's not exactly super, a sound recordist will slap me around for saying this. I just went with my cheap microphone and just got some nice sound. Or your iPhone. Even the iPhone mic is fine. Get it really close up to the water, get some nice sound. But yeah, I mean, all the audio is recorded internally, and it's really important to have natural sound. There's lots of natural sound in it. I think there's a couple of moments where I did download a couple of sound samples because I had some issues with the thingies, but most of it is all 99%. Yeah. Anybody else? Go on then. I think it's 800. So the bit rate in H.264, you can select it and just select the best one, 400. So 400 megabits per second is what I used in all-I, not long op. Just because it's easier to, it's a better, it's less compression, it's going to be a better image, and Premiere can sort of deal with it better, as well as Premiere can deal with anything. And so yeah, it's an amazing. To have this codec, to have 10-bit internally was amazing. It just looked so good. And there really is no. There was certainly when I filmed this, there was no camera out there that shot stills, of that side that shot 10-bit internally. I didn't want an external recorder. No camera out there. So yeah, and would I shoot a video with this again? Yeah. I mean, this is actually my one now. So clearly, I love it. And I just love the fact that when I took my so I say I love photography. When I took my GFX50S out, if I knew I was going to shoot video, I'd have to have another camera with me. I can now, but then again, I have an A7R4, which is 60 megapixels, which is nowhere near enough, is it? It is silly, but yeah, I think it's a beautiful camera, but the stills are magnificent, and the video it's miles better than I could possibly have expected. I was shocked when I shot the first stuff, which was at home. I tested it first, obviously, before I'm not going to go out onto location and never touch a camera. I tested it on my own cats, and it looked beautiful. I was like, this is good. This autofocus is good. Everything about it is good. So I was happy. So there you go. I think I'm done, unless there's any more questions. But yeah, do go to my website. No, it's not my website. It's not on my website yet, because I'm doing a behind-the-scenes video, making it, and I'll put it on then. But you can see it on YouTube if you want, but it's compressed to death, as YouTube does. But on Vimeo actually uses 10-bit, bizarrely, even though Vimeo is dead. Isn't it? Really? It is.
For us, Vimeo is very dead.
It is dead. But you can they let you download. So I always upload a nice high-quality version for people to watch properly, because I'm like that. When I upload something to YouTube and I see it and I go, I just always tell people in the description, go to Vimeo, you can see it properly, because it's not supposed to look as bad as that.
All right. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you very much.
So there's another talk with you later today about the Fujinon MK lenses.
Really?
That's at 4:30? Yeah, something like that. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and yeah, see you later.
Thank you.